The second type of event that we're going to cover today are called booths. So these could be trade show booths, conference booths, and I'm going to dig into those a little bit as we expand upon them, right? So conference booths, trade show booths, exhibit booths, recruiting events, anything where you're trying to draw people in a confined area towards you and away from someone else, right? So Twitter, for example, used us on several recruiting events. They were trying to differentiate themselves from other folks at the recruiting event. And so what they wanted to do is set up a VR experience or a VR activation at their booth so people would walk towards them, right? As opposed to, like most trade show floors, walking in the exact middle of the carpet so that you're not too far to one side where you might catch their eye contact, and not too far to the other side where you might bump into them, or they might see that you're looking over at them, right? What we want to do is actually create that magnet, right? We talked about it a little bit earlier. Create that magnet to draw people towards your booth, to differentiate, to get people to spread it virally. And what we've seen, which has been really amazing for every conference or booth or trade show booth or exhibit booth we've seen, is this viral spread. The spread, word of mouth through the event. Oh, have you seen this booth, or have you seen that booth, right? We want to go over there. We want to try it out. Now, what you see is more foot traffic over time as compared to the previous year or as compared to the previous event. So again, conference booths, trade show booths, exhibit booths, recruiting events, all fit into this booth category. And again, the benefits are increased foot traffic, increased brand awareness. We can have the social sharing, physical takeaways. We talked about the word of mouth being spread. It again continues to position folks as fun to work with, cutting edge, really differentiate themselves from their competitors. So as you think about your clients or you think about your own company, what resonates here, and how does this make sense for your event strategy, right? Are you trying to increase leads? Do we need to put a badge scanner in front of each of the VR activations that we have? So people have to get their badge scanned before they can actually try out the event experience. So is it not that sophisticated of an event? Do you just want a fishbowl? Is there a sales conversation, right, that needs to go on before or after people try the VR experience? And again, this VR experience gets people talking, right? We've been at events where prospects are talking to customers. Customers are talking to partners, and they're all having a good time because they had some shared experience that they were able to talk about amongst each other, right? It's harder to just say, oh, so you're a client of so-and-so, as compared to get the conversation started, as compared to, hey, did you try the latest VR? That thing was crazy. That was amazing. That was so realistic. All the good stuff that people say about it routinely. Here's an example of a trade show booth that we did. This is Cognizant. This is at Dreamforce. They wanted to, again, differentiate themselves. They were lined up next to all four of their major competitors. And none of their major competitors did anything like this. They did not have a line at their booth waiting to experience this. They did not have people coming back day after day. They just had TV screens and signage. So to differentiate themselves from their competitors and to draw people's attention towards Cognizant and away from the other people is by bringing a VR activation. This is a race car experience activation where people had a competition. You could actually see folks are having a great time. They have steering wheels and pedals, and we have people watching. We have people in line. We have people coming back day after day to compete to win a drone. So again, continue to position Cognizant as a fun company to work with, a futuristic, future forward-looking company, right? Thinking about they're giving away a drone. They have VR. They're at the cutting edge. Continue to position them and give folks a fun time, right? We did have a badge scanner before every time someone gave it a shot. We scanned their badge, and what we saw was an increase of number of people that came to the booth year after year. What it also led to is people asking questions of the sales staff that was working the booth. Conversations were being generated. Faces were being put to names as people identified themselves. Oh yes, I'm a customer with XYZ or ABC company. So really lots of benefits that come from this. Again, we have the badge scanner you can see on the left. They're scanning through a mobile phone. We have folks on the right lining up, waiting to do it. This is not your everyday swag. This is stuff that, pens and pencils and pads, which are great. This is an experience that people are taking with them. They're getting us to take photos of them as they try this new VR technology. They're getting their friends to take photos. They're sharing it on social media, and they're there to continue to try to challenge and win a drone. So you have competitive juices flowing. So again, a bigger, better experience for someone like Cognizant than simply going the run-of-the-mill approach and doing what their competitors were doing, which were pens and notepads. Again, a differentiated experience that led to a different level of return on investment. And again, here's what Katie at Cognizant had to say. VirtualRealityRental.co was extremely professional, both in the pre-event planning and the on-site execution. The technology and the staff were amazing, were outstanding. I would not hesitate to use them again for our events. One of the things to note, as you see here in her testimony, and one of the things that we are so excited about is our staff, right? They're there because they're 50% event nerd and 50% VR nerd, which is the perfect place for them to be. Our company is the perfect place for them to be because they like to engage with folks. They like to talk with folks, but they also are technical enough to walk people through how to use the VR and troubleshoot if there are any issues that pop up. So again, we don't have folks that are apathetic. Our folks want to be there. They're excited to be there. They're excited to be at your event. And it actually shows when we hear back from our customer stuff like the staff was outstanding and they're extremely professional, right? We're not dilly-dallying. We're very diligent in our efforts, and we're very diligent at how we look and how we represent our clients. Because oftentimes, like I talked in the Spreadfast example, we're rocking the gear that they wanted us to appear in so that we look like a unified front. So our staff was rocking Cognizant and representing Cognizant because their shirt said Cognizant, right? So we take that extra care to train up the staff on what Cognizant does, how they work, who's going to be in the booth, how do they facilitate handoffs, etc. As you think about lead generation, we talked about it a little bit early, right? You can require badge scanning. This can be optional depending on what your event goals are. This is a great way to capture people's information, follow up with them after the event. It's a great way to actually get someone's badge scanned, right? You're giving them some value in exchange for their information. You're giving them an experience that they've never tried before, as opposed to, again, a pencil or a pad of paper or a pen. In addition, we have these multi-day event packages that we do, right? So if you think about having one event or a multi-day event, there's different approaches that we take. As you think about hosting a multi-day event, we can actually host a new VR experience each day. So for example, if you have an event coming up on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you want to drive foot traffic every single day. You want to build buzz every single day. You want to have a competition every single day. You want to really continue to position yourself, generate conversations, generate leads. One way we can do that is actually dividing up the days and giving you unique VR activations each day. The example we have here on the slide is Monday's boxing, Tuesday's baseball, Wednesday's basketball. Now these are just baseball themed. We can do other themes, futuristic. Well, the goal is here is to differentiate the experience day by day. So if folks have seen it day one, maybe they were interested and they tried it out, they can come back day two. Maybe you had something that was a little bit high energy day one, and some folks didn't want to partake. Now they can come back, try the low energy experience on day two. Maybe something a little bit more calming, right? As you think about the experience, we can actually build in unique VR activations each day. Again, adding to the value of what we do without adding to the cost. With an example like this of a 3-day event, we don't charge extra for something like this. We want to focus on making sure your event attendees have a blast and you think that you got so much more value from the VR activation than you paid for the VR activation. So we're really focused on making it a great experience for you as well as your attendees. So no additional charge for hosting unique or different VR experiences each day. Oftentimes folks ask about big booths versus small booths, right? So the example with Cognizant, that was a 20 by 20 foot booth, I believe. And not all of them have to be that big. We're doing an event right now as I speak in a booth that's 5 by 5. And we can send you layouts and we can describe how it works and tell you what technologies work and what don't as you reach out to us. Again, contact at VirtualRealityRental.co. But remember, not having a 20 by 20 foot booth is not a problem, right? We have solutions that fit all size spaces, right? Small from 5 to 5 to a standard 10 by 10 to 15 by 15, 15 by 10, 10 by 15, 20 by 20. We have all those options that we can fit to meet both not only your event goals, but also the limitations, right? You have other things often that you want to put in your booth. And this might not be the primary thing. This is a secondary thing. We can work around that. We can make sure it works.